In this lesson, we'll start to block in the second part of the creature's anticipation. Now we're breaking this into two parts because at one point we can create a clip inside of Unity with just one part of the anticipation, and the next one can be used for a different purpose. That way, it gives the programmer more to work with. So let's say we go ahead and grab all of our controls, and we'll go ahead and lock down what we've done on frame 50. We'll just go ahead and create a key. So once we do that, we know that, hey, this is the end of this section here. And now we can go ahead and start to work on the second section, and we can keep track of these frames so that when we're ready to export, we can provide all of this information to the programmer so they can plug that inside of Unity. So let's say we go ahead and go to frame 60 now, and this is where we'll have the creature here get to an even higher point. So he's going to roar at this point. So let's say we do this. We'll go ahead and take his leg control that we've lifted up. We need to make sure he keeps his balance because he's bringing everything up now, including his arms. So let's go ahead and right click and use transform to 0 to go ahead and bring that leg back. And we'll also go ahead and translate it forward. Now, since this is the start of the second part of our anticipation, let's now go ahead and grab all of our controls here and lock down this pose on frame 60. Okay, next, we'll now have him lift up a bit higher. Let's go ahead and grab his center of gravity, start to translate that up. We'll also go ahead and rotate it up. This isn't necessarily the highest point. We'll make sure that that's truly terrifying, so we're building up to that. Now, let's go ahead and take his back and thorax controls, and we'll go ahead and rotate those back to change the line of action in his vertebrae. All right, great. So once we do that, we can actually go ahead and start to rotate the neck and head back as well. So it looks like he's really starting to roar. We won't open the face mask, not just yet. We can do that on the next pose. We're just making sure we time this just right. Okay, so now, let's say we go ahead and grab the right arm, and we'll go to move that over to the side, almost like he's opening up for the roar. We'll go ahead and rotate his wrist as well, over to the side a bit and up. Excellent. All right, from here, let's go ahead and take the opposite arm, and we'll kind of do the same thing, only let's go ahead and offset it a bit. So I might just go ahead and bring that a little bit higher than the right arm, and we'll go ahead and rotate it out a bit and rotate it up as well, that wrist. All right, really cool. Remember, always think about the character as we're doing this so that you can truly have fun with each pose that you block in. I think this would be a good time to maybe swivel out his elbow, so I'll do the same thing on the right side. We'll just go ahead and make sure that we go ahead and swivel out that object. Great, and that will help to improve the pose as well as his line of action. All right, great, so he's lifting off. And now, let's go ahead and head over to frame 70, and he's going to lift himself up a bit higher here. By the time we get to the next pose, he'll be at his high point, looking down at the character. So let's say we do this. We'll grab both arm controls. We'll go ahead and grab his center of gravity. And let's now go ahead and translate him up. It's just a fast way of translating the entire body a bit higher. So what's cool is that we started at this low point, but now we've gotten to this high point where we truly see how terrifying this creature is. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and open up his arms a bit more here. I might go ahead and take the wrist and have that point down a bit, and take the right elbow and bring that up. And then we'll also want to grab the clavicle and rotate that up as well as that arm comes up, so the shoulder doesn't look broken. Great. So from here, I'd like to go ahead and now take the left arm, just kind of getting a feel for this. We might go ahead and drop it here just a bit so it's lower than the right arm, just to add more variety to the pose, almost like he's moving his arms around as he's starting to roar. And then we can go ahead and take that elbow and bring that up as well. And then adjust the clavicle. Just go ahead and translate that up. Let's go ahead and take a look at that wrist. I might go ahead and just grab the arm control and bring that out a bit more to open up this pose. And then we can go ahead and take the wrist and rotate that in. All right, sweet. So what can we do at this point? Well, now we can have him start looking down towards the player. So have him gradually go towards that point. We'll grab the neck and head controls. We'll go ahead and rotate those down just a bit, not much. So we want that to be a bit subtle. We'll go ahead and do the same thing for the thorax. Just rotate that down a bit. Not too much. All right, this is looking really cool. So when we go ahead and scrub through this, take a look. All right, how awesome is that? So next what we'd want to do is go ahead and have him get to his high point. So we can go to about frame 80, and let's go ahead and lift him up a bit higher. So we'll grab the center of gravity and the arms, and we'll translate him up. We have a lot of room to work with. You can see that the legs are not locked up at all. So we can truly get to a very high point with this character. And we kind of want that to be subtle. We don't want him to pop into that pose because that will look snappy. So we'll just lift him up just a bit higher. All right, great. And from here, let's say we go ahead and take the thorax and the back, and we'll go ahead and rotate him down. And then we'll go ahead and take his neck control, rotate that down a bit. And his head control, we'll want to rotate that down as well. So he's now looking at the player, or the character here. And he's truly starting to terrify us at that point. Next, let's go ahead and take the arms, and we'll go ahead and throw those forward. Just a bit. And we'll start to have them kind of drop down. Not too much, though. Remember, we want to make sure that this is all subtle, so that when we lock in all poses, and we start to play this back, we truly have a sense of this creature being brought to life. Since we've dropped the arms a bit, let's go ahead and do the same thing for the clavicles. We'll just drop those just slightly, not much. Alrighty, cool. So now he's looking down. I'll go ahead and scrub back and forth just to get a feel of the pose. It looks like we can go ahead and take this arm on the right side and maybe drop that down a bit more, and then rotate the wrist out. All right, sweet. So this is super cool. It's really coming together very well. How about the mask here? Well, let's go ahead and take a look. We don't want it to open up just yet, not until about frame 70. So it's going to open up at that point as he's truly starting to roar, almost as if he's putting a lot of power into this move, which he most certainly is. It's a strong guy. All right, so let's say we go ahead and do this. We'll go ahead and grab the mandibles. Let's go ahead and grab both controls. I'll go ahead and Alt-right click and use Transform to 0 to bring them all back. And then we'll go ahead and take the jaw. Let's go ahead and open that up. How neat. So now he's starting to roar. And then take a look by the next pose. Now he's looking down at the player here with this roar going on, and it looks really powerful. Let's go to frame 80 and we'll open up the mandibles a bit to exaggerate this pose and make it look more menacing. Let's go ahead and open up the mandibles again by just rotating those controls out. Very nice. All right, so now that we have this blocked in, all we now need to do is go ahead and pose in a few subtle changes. So we basically need to pose in just a few more poses so that it feels as if he's holding in this position, but they're going to be moving holds, so we want him to move just slightly so he's still alive. And then once we've managed to do that, then we can basically start to kind of clean things up here before we get to working on his fall.